have you ever wondered why kindness can melt even the coldest heart? Today's story is one of the most touching tales in English literature. The Selfish Giant, written by the famous Irish author Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde was not just a storyteller, he was a master of emotion and meaning. His stories often carry deep lessons about love, generosity, and the beauty of sharing happiness with others. In this story, we will meet a giant who built a wall around his beautiful garden to keep everyone out. But what happens when he discovers that by keeping others away, he has also shut himself away from joy? Let's listen together to this heartwarming classic, a story that reminds us that kindness can turn even the coldest winter into spring. Before we get into the story, I would like you to hit subscribe to my channel, MrSam English Tales. Thank you. Good luck for your whole life. Every afternoon, as they were coming from school, the children used to go and play in the giant's garden. It was a large, lovely garden with soft green grass. Here and there, over the grass, stood beautiful flowers like stars. And there were 12 peach trees that in the springtime broke out into delicate blossoms of pink and pearl. And in the autumn bore rich fruit. The birds sat in the trees and sang so sweetly that the children used to stop their games in order to listen to them. "How happy we are here," they cried to each other. One day the giant came back. He had been away for 7 years, visiting his friend the Cornish ogre. And when he returned, he saw the children playing in his garden. "What are you doing here?" he cried in a very gruff voice. The children were so frightened that they ran away. "My own garden is my own garden," said the giant. "Anyone can understand that, and I will allow nobody to play in it but myself." So he built a high wall all around it and put up a notice board that said, "Trespassers will be prosecuted." He was a very selfish giant. The poor children now had nowhere to play. They tried to play on the dusty road, but it was full of hard stones, and they did not like it. They used to wander round the high wall when their lessons were over and talk about the beautiful garden inside. "How happy we were there," they said sadly. Then spring came, and all over the country there were little blossoms and singing birds. Only in the garden of the selfish giant was it still winter. The birds did not care to sing in it, and the trees forgot to blossom. Once, a beautiful flower put its head out from the grass, but when it saw the notice board, it was so sorry for the children that it slipped back into the ground again. The only ones who were pleased were the snow and the frost. "Spring has forgotten this garden," they cried, "so we will live here all the year round." The snow covered the grass with her great white cloak, and the frost painted all the trees silver. Then they invited the north wind to stay, and he came. He was wrapped in furs, and he roared all day about the garden, blowing down the chimney pots. "This is a delightful spot," he said. "We must ask the hail to visit us." So the hail came every day for 3 hours. He rattled on the roof of the castle until most of the slates were broken, and then he ran round the garden as fast as he could go. He was dressed in gray, and his breath was like ice. "I cannot understand why the spring is so late in coming," said the selfish giant, as he sat at his window and looked out at his cold, white garden. "I hope there will be a change in the weather soon." But the spring never came, nor the summer. The autumn brought golden fruit to every garden, but to the giant's garden she gave none. "He is too selfish," she said. So it was always winter there, and the north wind, the hail, the frost, and the snow danced about among the trees. One morning, The giant was lying awake in bed when he heard some lovely music. It sounded so sweet that he thought it must be the king's musicians passing by. It was really only a little linnet singing outside his window. But it was so long since he had heard a bird sing in his garden that it seemed to him the most beautiful music in the world. Then the hail stopped dancing over his head, and the north wind ceased roaring. A delicious perfume came through the open window. "I believe the spring has come at last," said the giant, and he jumped out of bed and looked out. What did he see? He saw a most wonderful sight. Through a little hole in the wall, the children had crept in, and they were sitting in the branches of the trees. In every tree that he could see, there was a little child, and the trees were so glad to have the children back that they had covered themselves with blossoms and were waving their branches gently above the children's heads. The birds were flying about and singing with delight, and the flowers were looking up through the green grass and laughing. It was a lovely scene, only in one corner. It was still winter. It was the farthest corner of the garden, and in it stood a little boy. He was so small that he could not reach the branches of the tree and was walking round it, crying bitterly. The poor tree was still covered with frost and snow, and the north wind was blowing and roaring above it. "Climb up, little boy," said the tree, and it bent its branches down as low as it could. But the boy was too tiny, and the giant's heart melted as he looked out. "How selfish I have been," he said. "Now I know why the spring would not come here. I will put that poor little boy on the top of the tree, and then I will knock down the wall, and my garden shall be the children's playground forever." He was truly sorry for what he had done. So he crept downstairs and opened the front door very softly and went out into the garden. But when the children saw him, they were so frightened that they all ran away, and the garden became winter again. Only the little boy did not run, for his eyes were full of tears, and he did not see the giant coming. The giant crept up behind him, took him gently in his hand, and put him up into the tree. At once, the tree broke out into blossom. The birds came and sang, and the little boy flung his arms around the giant's neck and kissed him. The other children, when they saw that the giant was not wicked anymore, came running back. With them came the spring. "It is your garden now, little children," said the giant, and he took a great axe and knocked down the wall. When the people went to market at noon, they found the giant playing with the children in the most beautiful garden they had ever seen. All day long they played, and in the evening they came to the giant to bid him goodbye. "But where is your little companion?" asked the giant. "The boy I put into the tree." The giant loved him the best because he had kissed him. "We don't know," answered the children. "He has gone away. You must tell him to come here tomorrow," said the giant. But the children said they didn't know where he lived and had never seen him before. The giant felt very sad. Every afternoon, the children came and played with the giant, but the little boy he loved was never seen again. Years passed, and the giant grew old and feeble. He could no longer run or play, but he sat in his great armchair and watched the children at their games. He admired his garden and said softly, "I have many beautiful flowers, but the children are the most beautiful flowers of all." One winter morning, as the giant looked out of his window, he saw a marvelous sight in the farthest corner of the garden. A tree stood, covered with lovely white blossoms. Its branches were golden, and silver fruit hung down from them. Underneath it stood the little boy he had loved. The giant rushed down joyfully into the garden and ran across the grass. But when he came close, his face grew red with anger. "Who has dared to wound you?" cried the giant, for on the palms of the child's hands were the prints of 2 nails, and the marks of 2 nails were on his little feet. "Who has dared to wound you?" cried the giant. "Tell me, that I may take my sword and slay him." The child smiled and said softly, "Nay, but these are the wounds of love." "Who art thou?" said the giant, and awe fell upon him. He knelt before the little child. The child smiled at him and said, "You let me play once in your garden. Today you shall come with me to my garden, which is paradise." When the children ran into the garden that afternoon, they found the giant lying dead under the tree, all covered with white blossoms. Moral of the story: the selfish giant teaches us that love, kindness, and generosity bring true happiness. When the giant opened his heart to others, his world changed from cold winter to warm spring. It reminds us that the more we share love, the more beauty and peace we bring into our lives and into the lives of others. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful moral stories that warm your soul.